comment that was like, it's pretty convenient how all your story times, you're never the bad guy. Except for today. I remember when I was in middle school, there's a couple of girls in my PE class who didn't have a locker, right? They didn't have a lock, they didn't have a locker. So they would normally like put their stuff in the locker and just close it and pray to God that nobody steals from them. So I remember one time it was like the popular girls, right? They were the ones that I don't know why they didn't have a lock this particular week. I don't know if they were switching off with somebody else. I don't know. They didn't have one this week. So I remember they used to get on my nerves because they like literally went out of their way to pants one of my friends and throw her in the trash can one time, but that's a different story. So I remember this girl was bragging about like her binder, right? Y'all remember the binders with the sleeves, and she put it in her thing and she was just bragging about how she got this $2 bill. Oh my God, me and my $2 bill. Right? So I remember, I think I was like one of the last few people that was changing, right? It was like me and a group of other girls I wasn't even really friends with. And I remember the popular girl, like she went off to go to the bathroom or whatever after she got done talking about her $2 binder, right? $2 in her binder, right? So I remember like me and those group of girls that weren't really friends, we were going around and like just opening up all the lockers to see who left stuff in there, right? Just to see. We wasn't gonna take nothing. That wasn't the original plan. So I remember I opened up the locker and old girl's binder was in there. And I remember I just stood there looking at it. And the girls that I wasn't really friends with was like, oh my God, Monet, like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So I looked at the binder. So I took her binder and I just like looked through it and was like seeing what I could take. I took out some of her notes. I took out a lot of stuff, right? So I took the $2 bill, I put her binder back into the locker, act like nothing never happened, and them girls did not snitch. And that girl was sure enough, the next day at PE, the teacher was like, all right, who did it? And the girls are getting scared. They're looking at me like, oh my God, when they were like, what are you gonna do? You're about to get in trouble. And I'm looking around like, oh my God, this is a travesty. This is, oh my God, everybody on your hands and knees right now. We need to find this $2 bill. I never got caught for this. I never got caught. And I ended up putting the $2 bill in my binder like the next day, and nobody even suspected me, even though the evidence was right there.
First time ever being in an earthquake. I knew California got a lot of earthquakes, but I didn't think that when I was going to go on vacation, I was going to be in the middle of an apocalypse. We're in a hotel room in the top floor. All of a sudden, I feel the floor moving. You know, I'm losing my balance. I was like, is it my vertigo? Maybe it's my iron deficiency acting out. But then I see the TV stand with the TV start shaking. And at first, I thought it was the neighbors on the other side that were like shaking stuff up because it stopped for another second. I'm like, babe, what are they doing that the whole wall is moving? He comes out of the restroom and all of a sudden everything starts shaking harder, bro. The lights flickering. I look out the window. The cars are moving. Like, Jesus, is this you coming back? We get an announcement on the speaker that it's an earthquake, that we should come down to the lowest floor. The fire alarms, we're like running down the stairs, praying. I'm over here calling my mom to tell her goodbye.
Am I wrong for banning my dad from bringing my mom to my wedding? So I, 24 male, am getting married this summer to my beautiful fiance Holly, 25 female. I'm an only child. My mom, dad, and I always felt like we had a very good relationship from the outside. But when I was 14, my mom cheated on my dad with a family friend. It absolutely broke my dad, and my mom became almost unrecognizable afterwards. She was a great mom and always felt like she was affectionate with my dad. But she became cold right after everything came out. My parents tried counseling, but my dad couldn't look at her. The divorce was horrible. My mom went after my dad so hard. Tried to get majority custody, tried to financially screw him over too. And to top everything off, she kept dating the family friend. I told her from day one that I wouldn't be dealing with her anymore if she kept dating that guy. So at around 15, I started living with my dad full time. He was still in a vulnerable spot, but together we started working out and doing things to keep him busy. It took years, but my dad got back to his old self. I spoke to my mom occasionally, even though she lived a couple of blocks away. She would call all the time and try to meet up, but I basically told her to F off and to start a new family because I had no interest in being around someone like her. Well, 9 months ago, Holly and I got engaged. My dad asked if I plan on letting my mom know. I told him I didn't and I wouldn't be inviting her to the wedding. Well, I guess he took it upon himself to call my mom and inform her. And then they started talking. 3 months ago, I show up to my dad's and him and my mom are there. They sit me down and tell me that they've been dating. I called him dumb, pathetic, and reminded him of all the things my mom did to him. How she's probably only back because she's out of money and places to go. My mom tried to intervene and I told her to shut the F up. I told my dad that he can do whatever he wants, but I'm not going to sit by and support it. And we worked together to get him back, so I felt like he wasn't valuing himself or me. My mom has been trying to get an invite to the wedding, but I told my dad it's simple. Your invite is a solo invite with my mom. A +1 if you bring any other human being. My dad is distraught according to relatives because he feels like he has to choose between his only kid and his wife. I told my dad that it was going to be like this from now on. Any holiday would be a solo invite. I wouldn't be bringing any grandkids around his house if my mom was there. So he needed to think carefully. My mom's side of the family has started trashing me. I told them if they couldn't understand my position, then they better not show up either. So I uninvited all the relatives that were giving me shit on my mom's side. My fiance is totally understanding, but we want to make sure we're doing the right thing.
I've had a sore throat for like 3 weeks and I took a COVID test and I was like, please let it be COVID, please let it be COVID, which is horrible, but also I just wanted to know what was wrong with me. And I also didn't want to pay money to go to the doctors because yay America, and it wasn't COVID, it came out negative. So I went to the doctors, they took my blood pressure, they said, what's wrong? I was like, I've had a sore throat for 3 weeks. They said, when was your last menstrual cycle? I said, nice try. Then Doogie Howser came in and said, have you been feeling fatigued? I think you might have mono. And I said, you know what? I got really fatigued 3 weeks ago when I started my period and I've just felt tired ever since. And he was like, yep, I think you have mono. And I was like, let's hope so, because I did some Googling. And the symptoms for mono are all the same symptoms for throat cancer. Basically, anything that's wrong with your throat could be something normal or it could be cancer. And doctors are always like, you're way too young to be worried about cancer. And I'm like, no, Ellen, actually, that's not true, because I've had 2 friends my age get cancer and only 50% of them survived, which is not good odds. Ironically, I'm in a graveyard right now because I figured if anybody bothers me in my car, I can just be like, I am mourning my mother, who's fine, by the way, as far as I know. I talked to her yesterday and she had a toothache and I was like, did you know that you can die from a toothache? You should go to the dentist. And then my dad was like, Kate, stop being so stressed. It's the stress that's going to kill you. Also, did you know that salt is one of the ingredients on this water bottle? That is interesting. Doogie said it's probably mono, but there's no way to know for sure because our tests don't come in until tomorrow. Can you come back tomorrow? I said, sure. I went back the next day, and then they were like, we don't have anybody to give you the mono test. And I said, this is an urgent care clinic. Don't you have any doctors hanging out back there? Go check the back. So I went back a 3rd day in a row, like a nurse gave me a mono test. I made a joke about having cancer. She didn't laugh or react at all. Then a doctor came in with the results of my test and was like, unfortunately, it's not mono. He said, you probably just strained your voice from talking too loud or singing too much. And I was like, what are you, an internet troll? He said, I would recommend waiting at least 2 more weeks for it to clear up on its own before we stick a camera down your throat. And I said, okay.